The universe is here to please you. Posted on December 2nd, 2011. If you can resonate with the title, it's an indication that you are well aligned with your wholeness and have experienced and sensed the well-being inherent in your life stream. And if the above title rubs you the wrong way, it's a pretty strong indication of you holding on to some negative thoughts, patterns of thought. When you're lost in negativity, in a state of unconsciousness or ignorance of your truth, the universe feels like a threatening place to live because your own inner negativity causes you to repel the well-being inherent to your life stream and thus attracts untoward experiences that leave you with a bitter taste in your mouth. This makes you conclude that the universe is not a nice place to dwell and that you need to battle it out for survival here. Thus you reinforce the fears of the mind with your belief and attention to negativity. This mindset, in turn, causes more resistance in your being, which disallows well-being even more, causing a cycle of negative experiences which can keep growing in intensity. It's not the universal force or life force that's at fault. It's your resistance to it that causes your suffering. Life is never opposing you. Anyone who is going through some intense hardship would immediately conclude that the problem is with the universe, with life. It takes some deep observation to realize that the opposition is not coming from life, but the other way around. You are the one standing in opposition to life through your belief in negativity, no matter how justified you feel about your right to feel negative. Some negative things happen to you when you are unconscious of your choice of alignment. So does it serve any purpose now to hold on to the memories of those negative experiences and thus stay rooted in negativity? When you are not conscious of the choice you have to align with your life stream, you can end up opposing it unconsciously. Alignment is a choice, but it can only be a choice when you're aware of this choice. The experiences of life you had when you were unconscious of your opposition to your life stream cannot be used as an evidence to conclude that life is negative or tough. When you become aligned with your life stream, the experience you have of life is entirely different from the experiences you had when you were not aligned. By holding on to your past, you're depriving yourself of the opportunity available now to start this journey afresh in the mode of conscious alignment. This universe is here at your service. The wholeness of life's intelligence is here at your service. Every resource in this environment is here at your service. The only reason you don't experience this fullness of goodness available around you is because you've chosen, unconsciously, to become a holdout who stands in opposition to life by aligning with negativity. When you're aligned with negativity, you cannot have full access to the well-being of life. It just can't happen, scientifically speaking. You cannot stand aligned with negativity and keep praying for well-being, finding fault with some God out there who doesn't seem to be listening to your prayers. You don't have to beg for well-being through beseeching prayers. You just need to align with your life stream by letting go of your identification with negativity, and it will flood all over you. The dysfunctional programming of struggle-based life. Do you realize that it's totally baseless to look at the unconscious behaviors of people who are identified with negativity unconsciously and conclude that you should also be suffering and thus be rooted in worry, anxiety, helplessness, struggle, and sorrow? So many people feel guilty or are made to feel guilty of their well-being and abundance when they are given examples of global suffering all around, as if the global suffering would become lesser if these people also started suffering for them or started feeling negative about life. It is not common for parents to make kids feel guilty if they don't finish their food or when they ask for treats by citing examples of the starving children in Africa. These negative reinforcements make a kid believe in lack and orient with the thought that life is suffering and that they don't have the right to be happy when there's so many suffering out there, which is inherently a skewed and dysfunctional mindset to develop. The being that we are is highly sensitive and thus can easily orient with fear when it's unconscious of its truth. It's very easy to make your being guilty by judging its natural proclivity towards joy and pleasure. It starts early, during childhood, when parents and teachers unconsciously start programming the thought pattern that life is hard and that they need to fight it out to be happy in life. This programming stays with them for a lifetime and causes them to attract a life of struggle through their belief in struggle. Their belief in struggle becomes so strong that they cannot even take in for once a perspective that maybe they have it all wrong, that life actually is not a struggle, but a journey of effortless joy, peace, and love, that it's the belief in struggle that causes them not to experience the ease of life by standing in opposition to its natural pull. Children are even more susceptible to negativity because they're not aware enough to make a choice in the favor of alignment, and thus they naturally take in the negativity that's present in their surroundings, starting with the load of negativity of the mother in whose womb they spend the first 9 months of their life. On a side note, the level of consciousness in a child is so low that he or she is not even aware of what's really happening to them in any great detail. You can check this yourself. Do you remember your first 3 years in any vividness? In fact, do you remember much of your first 15 years in much clarity, or was it all just like a daze of movement? It's only as we grow up, our brains develop, and our physical awareness becomes stronger, that we become more acutely conscious of our suffering and the suffering of others. When the level of consciousness in your brain is very low, as is the case with kids or even unconscious adults, there is no strong awareness of suffering, even if the body is suffering, which is actually a good thing and is an evidence of the well-being of life. Stop using global suffering as an excuse for your negative thinking. As soon as someone points out the well-being inherent in life, the first thing most people would point out is the global suffering, starting with the widely used example of children in Africa. Of course, it's the truth of our present reality on Earth that there is quite a lot of suffering present on the human realm, and all this suffering created from a place of misalignment with life through unconscious identification with negativity. Unconscious opposition to life leads to suffering and manifestation of suffering in physical forms. But is this by itself not evidence that life in itself is a stream of well-being, and it's the force of opposition and resistance that manifests as suffering? So instead of using global suffering as your reason to feel negative, use it as a proof to your mind to realize the dysfunction of unconscious identification with negativity. Suffering is always created through unconscious opposition to life. So it's not the life force that's to blame for it, but rather the opposition to life force that's the cause of it. From an absolute perspective, all this is a part of growth or evolution of consciousness focused on Earth, and its eternal forward movement ensures a constant growth in understanding that eventually leads to awakening and conscious alignment. It's all a play of consciousness, which is inherently invincible or eternal, and thus has nothing to lose, which is experiencing physicality and achieving self-realization and new creations through this journey. There is inherently nothing serious about it from an absolute perspective. When you are aligned with negative thoughts, even thoughts of sorrow and anxiety for the global problems, you're standing in opposition to allowing the well-being of your life stream to flow into your reality in that moment. So you need to ask yourself if you're really serving anything by staying oriented, totally identified with overwhelming thoughts of sorrow, anxiety, grief, or sadness for global suffering. It's normal to feel sensitive about it, but if you allow yourself to be lost in this low vibrational state, you are not serving any positive influence at all. If you truly want to reduce suffering in this world, you need to make a choice to align with your natural vibration of joy, love, and peace by disidentifying with thoughts of lower vibration. It may seem like a tough choice to make when you're just starting out on this journey of alignment, but it's a choice you need to make to bring a positive shift in your personal life and the external reality of this planet as a whole. With time, this choice will become your nature because it's your natural vibration.